Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast. And I just received a package a few hours ago in the mail. And that's the reason why this video is a little bit later than, I typically post. Because I had to get this one in tonight. And I still really can't believe what I just received. So we're going to go through this. And that is the Gamera Complete Collection from Arrow Video. So yes, I actually pre-ordered this like 5 months ago, and it finally came in today. And so we have the front cover there, right? You have the side with all of the movies, which I will list out for you. Then you have the back, which is a turtle shell, which is pretty sweet. And you got the side here with all the different compartments and stuff in it. This is, I don't want to jump the gun by saying this, but this could be the most ridiculous release that I have ever purchased for anything, ever, in terms of movies. So let's take it apart here. All right. I can't emphasize how heavy this is. When I got it in the mail, I thought it was something else. I was expecting Gamera, but I wasn't sure exactly what I was in store for. Because it was so heavy, I thought maybe it was something else. Now let's go through the movies first. Let's try to be organized here. Okay, now I'll read you the little introduction as well. Now this thing is the slip-on. It comes on like the outside of the case, and it's not attached to it. So it just kind of slides off, which I really hate. You know, having to pick up a box set. The same with the Hitchcock set had the same thing. Whereas like this slip, but it doesn't slip on completely. It's like half, and it just falls off if you're not holding on to it. So in this case, what I did was I cut off the UPC bottom, and now I have like a placard that I could just slide in to the box with all the other stuff. That's kind of the tactic I went with this particular box set. So the intro. The original hero in a half shell returns for the first time ever worldwide. All 12 tales of the adventures of everyone's favorite Titanic terrapin are collected together in one deluxe Blu-ray box set. This limited edition collector's set traces the decades-long evolution of Gamera from the friend of all children in his more lighthearted earlier films to the guardian of the universe in the groundbreaking 1990s reboot series, trilogy really, often hailed as 3 of the best kaiju films ever made, and I do agree with that. So we have, these are the movies you get. You get Gamera, the giant monster. Actually, let me load up the dates. They don't really give the dates here, which kind of annoys me. Just bear with me here for a second. Go to my kaiju movies. I have a spreadsheet for everything, people. So I have a kaiju movies spreadsheet. So if I open that up, I have a separate tab for Gamera, and it has all of the years and the alternate titles. All right. So the first movie is Gamera, the Giant Monster, and that came out in 1965. And it was directed by Noriaki Yuasa. Then you have Gamera vs. Barugon, also known as The Great Monster Duel from 1966, directed by Shigeo Tanaka. Gamera vs. Gyaos, also known as Giant Monster Mid-Air Battle from 1967. That was directed by Noriaki Yuasa again. Gamera vs. Viras, 1968. Directed by Noriaki Yuasa again. Gamera vs. Giuron, also known as Attack of the Monsters, 1969. Directed by Noriaki Yuasa. Gamera vs. Jiger, also known as Gamera vs. Monster X, 1970. Also directed by Noriaki Yuasa. Gamera vs. Zigra, 1971. That is also directed by Noriaki Yuasa. And then we have Gamera, Super Monster, also known as Space Monster Gamera, 1980, directed by Noriaki Yuasa. So those first, 8 films, what are those? 8 films, right? Yes. Those represent like the initial run of the Gamera films. Then we jump ahead to the 1990s, and you get Gamera, the Guardian of the Universe from 1995, directed by the great Shusuke Kaneko. Gamera 2, Attack of Legion from 1996, directed by Shusuke Kaneko. Gamera 3, Revenge of Iris, 1999, Shusuke Kaneko directed that as well. So you have that almost like Heisei era trilogy. And then you skip ahead to 2006 for Gamera the Brave, directed by Ryuta Tasaki. So you get all 12 of the Gamera films in this set. Now let's go over the Blu-ray, or the special features real quick, and then I'll show you all the goodies here. Special features. This is absurd. Okay, you have a limited collector's edition packaging housed in a large format rigid box. Fully illustrated by Matt Frank. A hardback 130-page comic book including a full-color reprint of the 4-issue Gamera comic series originally released by Dark Horse Comics in 1996, and the first ever English-language printing of the prequel comic, The Last Hope, by Matt Frank and Joshua Bugosh, and I'll show you that. An 80-page book. This is in addition to the comic book. An 80-page book including a new retrospective on the series by Patrick Macias, an archive interview with Noriaki Yuasa by David Milner, Kaiju X-ray illustrations by Julian Yates, Fangoria set reports on the Heisei trilogy by Norman England, and a viewer's guide to the English dubbed versions of the films. A double-sided 4-panel poster, I'll show you this as well, of Gamera's map of Japan in both Japanese and English, and collector's art cards for each film, including new artwork by Matt Frank. Okay, so that's all like the bells and whistles. Now you get the actual special features, the official special features for each movie. So Disc 1, Gamera the Giant Monster. You get a commentary and newly filmed introduction by August Ragon. You get a transfer of the American theatrical version. Remembering the Gamera series, an archive featurette from 1991, including interviews with director Noriaki Yuasa, writer Nissan Takahashi, and others. Another interview with Noriaki Yuasa, filmed in 2002. A Gamera special, an hour-long best-of compilation, supervised by Noriaki Yuasa in 1991. And some other stuff, trailers and stuff. Disc 2. Alright, you get a commentary on Gamera vs. Barugon by August Ragone and Jason Varney. You get a commentary on Gamera vs. Gyaos by Stuart Galbraith IV. Newly filmed introductions to both films. And then the American edit of Gamera vs. Barugon as well. Disc 3. Okay, you get a choice of 3 different versions of Gamera vs. Viras. Interesting. Commentary on Gamera vs. Viras by Carl Craig and Jim Ciranella. Commentary on Gamera vs. Giuron by David Kalat, which he contributed to some of the Godzilla sets that I have. Newly filmed introductions on both films. A new featurette showing souvenirs and props from Gamera vs. Viras. Highlights from a G-Fest convention from 2003. It just goes on and on. I mean, I gotta skip some of this stuff, or this video will take forever. Disc 4. Commentary on Gamera vs. Jiger by Edward L. Hollard. Commentary on Gamera vs. Zigra by Sean Rhodes and Brooke McCorkle. Commentary on Gamera Super Monster by Richard Pusateri. And newly filmed introductions. Disc 5. Commentary on Gamera Guardian of the Universe by Matt Frank. A newly filmed introduction. A Testimony of 15 Years, Part 1, the first of an epic 3-part documentary interviewing cast and crew of the Heisei trilogy. Interviews with director Shusuke Kaneko, I love that director, and special effects director Shinji Higuchi, filmed in 2002. Extended interview with Shinji Higuchi, focusing on the trilogy's special effects. Behind-the-scenes featurettes. Disc 6. Commentary on Attack of Legion by Kyle Yount. Duly filmed introduction. You get that part 2 of the huge documentary. And then you behind-the-scenes featurettes. Disc 7, Revenge of Iris. Commentary by Steve Reifel and Ed Godziewski, who also did some of the Godzilla stuff that I have. They did some commentaries on those. Again, part 3 of the huge documentary. Awakening of Iris, a montage of behind-the-scenes footage and work-in-progress special effects. And then you have finally Disc 8, Gamera the Brave, commentary by Keith Aiken and Bob Johnson, How to Make a Gamera Movie, a featurette hosted by director Ryuta Tasaki, behind the scenes of Gamera the Brave, an all-access on-set documentary, The Men That Made Gamera, a documentary looking back at the series from start to finish, featuring interviews with cast and crew, opening day premiere footage, and there's more stuff. I just don't want to be here all day. So, it's pretty ridiculous, obviously. So, let's get to the bells and whistles, and then we'll get to the films themselves. Alright, so let's do the comic books first. Right? So, apparently there were Gamera comic books, which I didn't even know existed. So you have Gamera, the comics collection. Yes, the comics collection. That's pretty outstanding art there. And you get kind of like, I guess, the cover art of all of the comics in the back. This is the intro kind of... that's pretty outstanding. So, Gamera is a giant turtle, and he transforms into a flying saucer. So yes, it's pretty awesome stuff. So the contents in this is like 100 and like 20 pages long, this thing, right? You get an introduction by Matt Frank. You get the comic, The Last Hope. Gamera 1, The Shadow of Evil, Gyaos. Gamera 2, Reckoning. Gamera 3, Up from the Deep. And Gamera 4, The Last Hope. And these are basically comics. So I'll just flip open to a page to show you. It looks like it's some pretty horrifying stuff going on in these. That's right up my alley right there. Like dudes getting fried into skeletons. This is right up my alley. Yeah, so I've been starting to get into manga and stuff recently, but yeah, I think these Gamera comics should be pretty cool. And you get some random like you see Gamera on his back. Because he's a turtle, he's a little bit vulnerable if you flip him on his back. So it's kind of realistic to a degree, kind of. So yeah, you get all the comics. That's pretty fantastic. Then you get this like 80-page, right? This is the 80-page one, yeah. An 80-page like supplemental booklet. And this is the back. Now this one, you basically have write-ups on every single one of the films. That's the first 35 pages of this. Then you get an interview with Noriaki Iwasa from 1996. Kaiju X-rays. I looked at this real quick. This is definitely up my alley. Look at this. They give you X-rays of all the monsters and like what their anatomy is. So from Gamera, you have a fire sack in the middle, which, an armed jet sack. All kinds of crazy stuff here. Gamera's got a lot of sacks. It's pretty interesting. Where's Gyaos? Now, Gyaos has a 3 million cycle sound wave organ in his throat, which I'm sure is included in his offensive weapon. And, of course, he has some sacks as well. He has a fire extinguisher sack, which I'm sure is for certain... he also has bowels, which is important. So it's pretty excellent. And you get x-rays for each of the animals, or the kaiju there. This is pretty... It gets pretty insane in detail. Inside the Heisei Trilogy by Norman England. That's excellent. And talk about each of the 3 films from the Heisei era in the 90s. And then a guide to English language Gamera. Then you have about the transfers and other stuff. So, I mean, it'll take me a while just to get through this thing. It's very well illustrated. Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. You have tons of pictures and write-ups. It'll take me forever to read this. And then you have the movies. You know, you got the Blu-ray pack right here. And it's the only thing I don't like about these. I don't know why Blu-ray sets always have these slip things where you gotta like pick at it to get it out. You know, you gotta go up here and you gotta like pick, and you know what I mean, until you can get it, which I don't like. I wish they just had the basic like snap case stuff, but that's all right. Everybody does that nowadays. So, you know, obviously some of these Blu-rays, they double up or triple up on the movies, but only the older ones, which kind of makes sense because the movies are fairly short, as we'll see, and I don't think it's a big deal if you have 2 or 3 on one Blu-ray disc. But all of the Heisei era stuff, it's just one movie per disc, you know, and those are the best films, anyways. I think so. Yeah, this is just an insane release for Gamera. And then you have all of the photos here as well. So if you just pick a few of these out just to take a look at a few of them here. You know? So you have, you know, obviously this one is the old, in reference to the older film, so it's in black and white. Because the first film was the only one in black and white. And you have all the rest here. You know, so you get stuff like that. For each film, you have like a card for each film, which is pretty neat. And they just slide right back in here. And that's it for that. And it has the same kind of artwork as the main box with the turtle shell on the back. And all this is just hardcover stuff, except for the supplement book. So let's go through the movies. So what are we talking about in terms of the Gamera films, right? You can break them up into different sections. You have the original 8-film series. Then you have the 90s trilogy, right? That's 11 films. And then you have Gamera the Brave from 2006, which is the 12th film. So what you're in for the original films is basically this. Let me give you an idea. So let's just do Gamera, the first one. And we have hibernating under the Arctic. The turtle monster Gamera is awakened by an atomic bomb test. Does it sound familiar? The behemoth creates chaos when it arrives in Japan, and an ambitious plan must be hatched to try and stop the rampage. So this is the first film, which was actually all in black and white, and it's the only film in the entire series that was in black and white. Let me just fire up a few notes here real quick just to give you an idea. You know, I would say the first 3 films are good, old-school, Showa-era kaiju films. They're family-friendly. Although, one way that Gamera distinguishes itself from Godzilla is that there's more kaiju violence in these films. I mean, and sometimes it'll come from out of nowhere. So you have this cute, like, family-friendly or even kid-centric film, and then, like, a monster will just start bleeding profusely, like purple blood out of its freaking throat. Or in, you know, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but you know, there's certain movies where like a monster will just get sliced up, you know, into like monster sashimi, and it's pretty crazy. It doesn't happen all the time, but it is peppered in throughout the series, and it'll make you do a double take as to what you're watching, which makes this a little different from some other kaiju films out there. So I like that. You know, obviously the fact that the monster turns into a flying saucer is a pretty unique element to it. And again, you know, he's a friend to all children. So what does that mean? Well, a friend to all children means that like the first 3 films of the original series are family friendly. And then the next 5 after that are aimed specifically at children. So you'll go through, and I think the first 3 films are all like pretty solid kaiju films. You know, got Gamera, the giant monster, Gamera vs. Barugon, and Gamera vs. Gyaos. And Gyaos is a fan favorite. He's like almost like a giant bat with like a metal pyramid head that shoots like freaking lasers and like slices cars in half and stuff. It's pretty nice, pretty awesome stuff. And then once you get to the fourth film, Gamera versus Viras, all of a sudden it's like, I don't want to say Barney and Friends. It doesn't get that childish, but you could just tell they really started focusing on the children angle. So like Gamera versus Viras, the fourth film, you have these two kids, and they're kind of annoying. At the beginning of the film, you got to remember, because it's aimed at kids, the kids are like all important in the storylines, so the adults would be too stupid to figure out how to beat the monsters. Some little kid genius will be like, why don't you try this? And then it works. So these two little kids in Gamera versus Viras, like near the beginning of the film, they sabotage a miniature submarine, which puts a few researchers' lives at risk. And they think it's funny, these kids. Like they're little, like little Dennis the Menaces or something. So you have these two little douchebags are your main freaking protagonists throughout the film. So you'll know when you hit Gamera versus Viras, you'll have an idea if you're going to like the next 4 or 5 of those middle films or not. Because a lot of them are similar to that. We have little kids in lead role, maybe they'll get whisked away on a spaceship and they'll have to somehow outsmart the aliens who look like Japanese people into defeating them, and they'll get Gamera's help along the way. So that's what like the middle 4 movies are there. So you have the first 3, which are pretty solid. Then you have the next 4, which are downgrade to the first 3, but still, they're actually surprisingly watchable and entertaining in a cheesy way. So I think there's only one film in the entire set that I don't like, and we'll get to that soon. So again, the first 3 are solid, and then the next 4, Gamera versus Viras, Gamera versus Giuron, Gamera versus Jiger, and Gamera versus Zigra are kind of a lower grade, but still, they have their entertaining moments for sure, right? And if you haven't noticed, they churned out a Gamera film every single year for 7 years. From 1965 all the way through to 1971. They came out with a Gamera film every single year. So they were churning these suckers out. I'm kind of surprised how entertaining they are, to be honest with you. They were churning them out so much. So that's for 7 films. Then we get to the last film in the classic era. All right, the last film in the classic era. Let me get to it here. Gamera. Here we go. Go here. Gamera, the super monster. And they have a little song. I don't know how the song goes again, but it's like, Gamera, a super monster. This movie sucks. And yes, the Gamera super monster pretty much sucks. And the reason for that is because the production studio was they were on the verge of bankruptcy. You know how that goes. Kind of like how Canon Films or Golden Globus was in bankruptcy when they produced Superman 4. Remember how good that one turned out? Well, they really went cheap on Gamera Super Monster from 1980. A third of the film is stock footage. And people complain, there's some stock footage used in some of the other films. Most notably, just as a side note, which is the one that has the stock footage? There's... Where is it? I would say... Oh, yeah. It would be the 4th entry, Gamera vs. Viras. Uses 11 minutes of stock footage because the aliens had to tap Gamera's mind and find his flaws. So they show 11 minutes of footage from the prior films to research Gamera as their excuse. But, yeah. But this one, Gamera Super Monster, is even more egregious because like a third of the film is stock footage. And there's only a few minutes of actual new footage of Gamera in it. So it's pretty bad. You could tell they were trying to ape Superman the movie from the late 70s. They had like these super people too, and it's brutal. They actually use footage from some Japanese anime films from the 70s too and splice them in. So Gamera Super Monster is pretty much a complete mess. But then we get to the trilogy of the 90s, directed by Shusuke Kaneko. And that trilogy they represent 3 of the best kaiju films of all time. Gamera, Guardian of the Universe, Gamera Advent of Legion, and Gamera Revenge of Iris. All three are fantastic movies. And they all kind of, they're all highly entertaining stuff. So what I would say, and then you have finally Gamera the Brave from 2006, which isn't as good as the trilogy from the 90s. A little bit of a downgrade, but still good quality. And it has some pretty memorable moments in it. So that's basically a summary of the movies. And remember, Shusuke Kaneko, the director of the trilogy of the 90s, also directed Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All-Out Attack from 2001, which is my personal favorite Godzilla film of all time. So the dude, in my opinion, he's the greatest kaiju director of all time. And I don't even think it's close. I know technically Ishido Honda's probably the most important, and he made the most, but, I mean, Kaneko made 4 kaiju films, and all 4 are some of the best ever made. So if you're going into this series, if you've never seen these movies before, and you actually blind bought this set, I say watch them in chronological order. Just watch them all in chronological order. I mean, obviously going from Gamera Super Monster to Gamera Guardian of the Universe is such a huge, gigantic upgrade, your head will explode, but it'll be fun. Now, if you are not sure whether or not you're going to like these movies, I would recommend that you start with the trilogy from the 90s. You start with Gamera Guardian of the Universe from 95 and watch the next 2 films. And then if you like those, then watch the rest. So that's how I would kind of play it in terms of viewing order. And then, just so you know, these movies are very easy to sit through. These aren't like mammoth runtimes. They're not mammoth runtimes. So from like just the original series, you have like 78 minutes, 100 minutes, 86 minutes, 81, 82, 82, 88, 91. You know what I mean? So they're not, the original series is, they're not too long. So you could definitely rip through them. I don't know how much there is to say about this. This is just completely insane. But, again, if you like old school or even new school kaiju films, it's worth checking this set out. Again, I pre-ordered it. I'm not sure. I'm sure it'll hit the ancillary market at even higher prices. But if you have a chance to actually get this, or you pre-ordered it already, there's so much stuff in here. It's freaking ridiculous. I can't even... I don't know how long it's going to take me to consume all this. And you get commentaries in almost every film, in addition to the films themselves, and all of the supplementary reading. I'm still chewing through the Godzilla stuff I got. You know what I mean? So, that was last year. So this is, again, pretty phenomenal release. And I hope it helped you to determine whether or not you want it, or whether or not, just an idea, give you an idea of what these films are about. Because Gamera is a little bit different from Godzilla. They're kind of similar. If you like one, you'll probably like the other, especially when you break it out by era. But he has his own little nuances, a little bit more kaiju violence, a little bit, it's good stuff. I definitely recommend these movies, with the exception of Gamera Super Monster. So that's all I got. I can't think of anything else to say about this, so I'm just going to shut up now. And as always, I'll see you next time.